NetherRealm Studios have truly been on a roll lately, with the success of their Mortal Kombat games and the original Injustice: Gods Among Us. Now the much anticipated follow-up to the DC Universe fighting game is here, and it raises the bar even more for the genre. What do I like about this game? Here are my game reflections for Injustice 2. Like the previous game, the story for Injustice 2 takes place on an alternate Earth, where Batman is leading the battle against Superman's regime. The story here takes place several years after the conclusion of the first game, with Superman locked up in a Red Sun prison and Batman trying to rebuild the public trust in superheroes. Unfortunately, Gorilla Grodd, together with several other villains, form the Society and are preparing the way for Grodd's new master, Brainiac. This robotic alien roams the universe collecting knowledge from each world and then annihilates the planet once he is finished, and Earth is his next target. As time runs out for the Earth, Batman, along with some new and returning heroes, must set aside their differences and work together to stop the diabolical Brainiac. NetherRealm Studios are still far and away the best at making a very engaging story mode for a fighting game. The way cutscenes seamlessly transition into gameplay is excellent, and I found the story of Injustice 2 to be one of its greatest strengths.
In brightest day, in blackest night,
Become vengeance. Join the Red Lanterns.
no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power! Green Lantern's light! You're right. I do hate myself for what I've done. But my will is stronger than my hate.
The story is broken up into chapters, and for each chapter you'll have to play as a certain hero or villain. The new feature here is that you have a small element of choice in some of the story moments. During certain chapters you'll be playing as two characters, and before each fight you can choose who will do battle for that particular scene. It doesn't make any drastic changes to the story, but the unique dialogue between the characters is really fun to see, and you'll have to go through the story mode at least twice to see everything.
Fighting a talking ape wasn't enough. Had to throw in telekinesis. Give us a song to soothe these savage beasts. I forgot to bring my banana arrow. Wait, you eat bananas, right? Or is that an offensive stereotype?
You ignorant fool.
Unlike the previous game, Injustice 2 does have two different endings depending on who you choose to play as for the final chapter. One of the endings is rather depressing though, so I definitely prefer the ending that offers the characters more hope at the end. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed the story for Injustice 2, and I particularly love some of the strong character moments for heroes like Green Lantern and Supergirl.
Diana said the Joker was executed. Were you the one who...
I took one life to save millions.
But it wasn't just one, Cal, was it? How many? How many? Everywhere I go, people are afraid of this. Now I know why.
It's not how I wanted things, but humans, they've been slaughtering each other for millennia. I stopped that violence. Humans need strong leadership. We have to save them from themselves.
Whose son are you? Jor-El's? Or General Zod's?
Once you finish the story mode, there's a wealth of single-player options to explore. The most substantial of these is the Multiverse, where your fighters can perform missions on various alternate Earths. These challenges are varied and exciting, adding extra features like support characters, low gravity, earthquakes, flip perspectives, and many, many more. The Multiverse is where I spent a bulk of my playtime with Injustice 2, as there are so many missions to complete, and all of them have a time limit on them, so your access to each Earth can last several days or several hours. Completing Multiverse missions and obtaining Mother Boxes is your primary way of retrieving one of the ultimate hooks of the game, gear. Every character in this game can equip new costume pieces that will boost various stats, and the higher the character level, the higher the quality of the gear. What gear pieces you obtain is completely random, giving this system a feeling similar to loot drops in games like Diablo or Destiny. While I admit I don't really like how this part of the game encourages microtransactions, it is completely possible to find great gear pieces without spending a dime, and when you do get lucky and get several epic gear pieces, you can't help but feel a little excited. Having good pieces of gear on your character is immensely helpful in tackling some of the multiverse's more difficult challenges, and it also allows you to tailor the character's appearance to your liking. While there may have been some pieces here and there that I felt looked odd on certain characters, for the most part, the costume pieces look great and only add to the game's visual flair. One last thing of note in the multiverse is that it contains a traditional arcade mode. Here you will fight a ladder of opponents with a final fight against Brainiac. After his defeat, you are treated to a fun what-if story, where each character has their own take on what would happen if they defeated Brainiac and obtained his power. I'm glad they left an arcade mode in, because the one in Injustice 2 is a whole lot of fun.
What Brainiac ruined will be reborn. Argo City and Kandor, Twin Cities, survivors. I couldn't save Kal-El, but I will save our people.
Fighting game fans will be right at home with Injustice 2, as it offers many tools to make expert-level plays. But I also really like how accessible this game is for newcomers. The game is very helpful in teaching you how to chain together normals, perform special attacks, and how to best utilize character powers and the clash system. There are 3 attack buttons for each character, and their own unique character power, which range from things like a strength increase to calling out a little buddy to help you. In the first Injustice game, I felt that some of the character powers were much more useful than others, but they did a much better job of balancing them in the sequel, as now I feel that every character power is viable when it's used properly in a match. Interactable environments and area transitions also return, adding to the intensity of each fight. Characters can utilize objects in the environment for additional damage, and on certain stages, you can launch an opponent with an area transition where they will go flying and take a ton of damage. The clash system is arguably the most strategic feature of this game. Once a character is on their second health bar, they can perform a clash to break out of a combo and hopefully turn the tide of a match. By wagering bars from your super meter, you can regain some lost health if you win. But if your opponent wages more meter than you, they'll end up doing even more damage. It's a very dynamic risk-reward element because you have to think about whether or not you want to save the meter for something else, and it's one of the more unique systems that I love about this game. If you do use a clash properly, you can turn the battle in your favor and possibly emerge victorious, making a win all the more satisfying.
Always too late, Supergirl.
So let's wrap this up early.
Last, but certainly not least, are the super moves, where the heroes and villains of DC Comics unleash some of their true power and completely wallop their opponent. These cinematic super moves are a blast to perform, and you can increase the damage of them by pressing buttons with each hit. They are a great way to finish a combo or catch someone completely off guard. The fighting mechanics in Injustice 2 give you so many options on how to battle your opponents, and while it may seem a little intimidating at first, once you start to find your groove and string together normal attacks with special moves, you'll be having so much fun with each and every match. The final aspect of this game I want to touch on is one that is most important to many people, and that is the multiplayer and online aspects of Injustice 2. While people like myself could spend hours and hours in the single-player modes, fighting games have always been a more multiplayer-focused experience, and in this regard, Injustice 2 certainly delivers. You can go up against the best of the best in the ranked matches, or go for a more friendly fight with modes like the Chat Room or King of the Hill. The game displays win-loss ratios and allows you to challenge opponents of your choosing, and once you find someone who's on an equal skill level with you, playing together becomes incredibly fun. King of the Hill is also an enjoyable mode, as while you wait for your turn, you can vote for the victor as either the current king or the challenger. I personally didn't do very well in King of the Hill, but I did have fun in general with the online modes, and I'm sure I will return to test my skill in the months to come. After spending about 30 hours with Injustice 2, I can say without any doubt that it is one of my new favorite fighting games. Heroes like Black Canary and villains like Scarecrow are equally fun to play as. There's a ton of content to keep you busy, between online matches, a riveting story mode, and near limitless adventures in the multiverse. You'll have many fun-filled hours. Injustice 2 is not only a terrific fighting game, but a fantastic superhero game, and one that is not to be missed for anyone who loves the DC Universe. Thank you for watching this episode of Game Reflections. What are your thoughts on Injustice 2? Feel free to share in the comments below. Until next time, keep having great adventures, everyone.
Catwoman and Harley will join you. You'll need their help getting into the Batcave.
Just give me the coordinates. I'll open a portal and boom tube in.
You can't. I reverse engineered your armor's motherbox technology.
Try teleporting into the Batcave. Stada boom, you'll go splat!
So, how do we get in?
The old underground. There's a tunnel entrance under Arkham.
I'm taking you two to Arkham Asylum.
Promise it won't be awkward or nothing.